Rome wasn't built in a day, but it also wasn't built by accident. I used to go to Pilates for probably about a year and a half. I went to Pilates and there's only 12 reformers, and so you had to sign up in advance for the class. And not only did you have to sign up, so you paid your monthly fee, but then also if you, for whatever reason, if you canceled within 6 hours, I think it was, anyway, you canceled, or if you didn't show up, you had to pay a fee on top of that. So you had some built-in accountability. I loved going to Pilates. I loved seeing the same people. I loved the coaches. I love the accountability, because when I signed up, I had to go. For whatever reason, that season came where it was really difficult for me to go to Pilates. Like it became so popular, and with only 12 reformers, you had to sign up weeks in advance. And as you can imagine, it's really hard to find times weeks in advance that I knew for sure that I could go. The other side of that is the kids wanted to start working out, and I didn't want to pay for the Pilates memberships for them. So we moved to the Y. So we loved the Y. We could sign up as a family. It was actually cheaper for all three of us than one Pilates membership. But we had sports for the kids. There was open hours, and it worked. It's still working for us in this season. But it was really easy to say, we'll just go later. I'll go later with the kids instead of getting up at 5:30 when I usually go work out. And so I got out of that habit, and you know how it is. It snowballs. I had to get really real and honest with myself, because how do you build accountability when there is none? How do you build a habit when your body actively fights you and saying, oh, we can go later to the gym? And this is not just the gym, but I also know that many of us we all struggle a little bit. This is the season in life where we're putting on a few pounds that we don't really want. All the things the kids eat, the pounds come to us instead of them. When we're building a habit, when we're building when we make these decisions, how do we make it work? It's when it shifts from actions to identity. I am someone who honors my commitment to movement. It's a great statement. It's a great declaration. But here's my real statement. Like, that one sounds great. I'm someone who honors my commitment to movement. But this is my statement: I'm someone who's traveling until she is 100, and I move with ease. So how does this work with leadership? This is some of the things that I see in my clients, things that I saw in myself, and maybe you see in yourself, is you keep trying to fix behaviors without addressing the identity. You get frustrated by inconsistencies or self-sabotage from yourself or others. And you say things like, I should be better at this by now, or I can't keep this up. Our words matter. These phrases are not just words. They seep into our identity. And when I am saying I'm someone who's traveling until she's 100 and I move with ease, I'm making a declaration with who I am at my core, not just what I'm doing. Working out now plays a part in that. That's one aspect of the identity I am embracing. So when I say that Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither is your leadership, neither is the leader you're becoming. One brick at a time, one habit, one decision, one I am statement. You build the foundation of the identity you want to lead from. And so we find that it's challenging, right? To start these habits. But when it stems from identity, when we start looking at who we are and who we want to become, it gets a lot easier. So I wanted to talk today about this idea of building Rome brick by brick. So here's 3 bricks to build identity that sticks. So 1 is speak to who you are, not to who you're not. So replace things like, oh, I always skip the gym, or I can never get consistent with the gym. Switch that with, I'm someone who honors my commitment to movement. I am someone who protects my energy through rest and consistency. I'm someone who shows up, even if it's just for 10 minutes. This is where I'm someone who's traveling until she's 100, and I want to move with ease, that I move with ease. And so to get nerdy here for a moment, the brain benefit to speaking to who you are versus speaking to who you're not is the reticular activating system, the RAS, the RAS, will filter your reality to align with a declared identity. So it looks for evidence to support the positive statement. Instead of looking to say, oh, you're right, you are not somebody who, oh, you don't do this. Oh, you're right, you're not someone who's consistent. Because weird things happen when you add negative, your brain actually doesn't register the negative. So when you say, I'm not someone who skips the gym, what your brain actually hears is skip the gym. And so that's why it's really important that we speak to who we are, not who we're not. So that's brick one. And that's why the statement is, I'm someone who's traveling to I'm 100. That's who I am at my core. And I move with ease is the next part. Is brick two is link it to purpose, not just performance. So this is another reason why I don't specifically make it about just working out, because it's more of the benefit of working out is I get to travel. I get to move. I'm far from having grandkids. But when I do have grandkids, I want to be able to play on the floor with them. So those decisions are made now. And so when you link it to purpose and not just performance, you move from, I do this because I have to, I do this because it's who I'm becoming. I don't go to the gym just because I want to lose weight. Yes, I'd love to lose weight, but it's because of the lifestyle that I get from it. It's because of who I am through it. It's because I want to be a fit person and healthy, and it just feels more confident. So to move from I do this because I have to, I do this because it's who I'm becoming. I'm someone who leads with clarity, even in hard decisions. I'm someone who makes decisions that align with my future self. And I'm someone who listens before I speak because it builds trust. So you're adding the because in there, you're giving yourself the reason to do it. I'm someone who leads with clarity, even in hard decisions, because as a leader, you're going to have hard conversations, not decisions. You're going to have these hard conversations. But if you're already someone who leads with clarity, it's a lot easier, even in the hard times. You're someone who you're adjusting your decision-making to align with your future self, to align with your values, to align with how you're wired. It's not just because this is what you want to do or because you have to do it. It's because it aligns with who you're becoming and the purpose behind it, the deeper why behind the why. And so the brain benefit of here is you're engaging your prefrontal cortex, your future thinking, instead of your limbic brain, your reactive. If you study, I love studying the brain, and I love just how it all works together and the symbiotic relationship of the brain, and realizing that the limbic brain is in reactive mode all the time. That I didn't realize until I went to school to be a therapist, and we did neuroscience. We started to learn it, and that's where I found the love of, I want to find the science behind it. And so we actually have to invite our prefrontal cortex into the conversation. We have to choose to be forward and future thinking instead of the reactive, which is what the world calls for. This is also, remember, if you're under 25, under 26, I think they're even pushing 27 now, but your prefrontal cortex is not even developed fully. And so your limbic brain, your reactive brain, is constantly in action, in motion, and activated, which is why before that age, everything seems so reactive, because it is. Because we have to develop these skills, this forward thinking, this future thinking, and you get to move from, I have to do this, to I get to do this because it's who I'm becoming or who I am. And so the third brick is let identity drive action, not emotion. Instead of saying, I don't really feel like it today, or oh, this bed is so cozy and right now it's so hot. Like it's so hot outside. But typically in the winter, it's just so cold. But you have to remind yourself that I'm someone who follows through even when it's inconvenient. Because these actions that you do, like you shouldn't lead through emotion, because your emotions are wishy-washy. Your emotions come and go within 90 seconds. Your emotions, though they should not be thrown to the side. Like you should invite them to the table. You should acknowledge them. They're like a thermometer telling you what's going on. They should not drive your activity. Emotions can and often do lie. And there's science behind that too. But instead of saying, I don't feel like it today, you get to remind yourself that you're someone who follows through, even when it's inconvenient. You get to remind yourself that you're someone who chooses alignment over urgency. And you get to be someone who respects your boundaries and your vision. And you get to say that I'm someone who respects my boundaries and vision, who reacts or makes decisions from my values, not urgency. And I love the graph of the tyranny of the urgent, where you don't let the urgent overpower the important. And so there's so many times that we have to take a step back. And when you act and you decide your decision through identity versus emotion then you can understand, okay, is it urgent or is it important? Because you should be willing to set down the urgent for the important. Now, in that square, there's also urgent and important. So a medical emergency, like clearly that trumps all. Or in your business, there's an emergency that is a very important client and they're having an urgent issue. Okay, that's different. But if it's just urgent, is it your urgent or someone else's urgent? But when you let identity drive your action, not emotion, you get to decide that. You had that moment and had that self-concept. And so the great benefit of this one is you reinforce its self-concept, which is more power than motivation. Identity beats willpower every time. Willpower has a 2-week shelf life. This motivation is something that you have to constantly, you really have to think of it as a bucket that you constantly have to fill. But identity is somebody who you are and who you're becoming. And so you have these 3 bricks that you speak who you are, you link it to purpose, not just performance, and you let your identity drive action, which is why my declaration is I'm someone who's traveling till she's 100 and I want to move with ease, or I move with ease. And it has that. It's the speak to who I am. Well, I'm a traveler and I move with ease. My purpose is I love traveling. And and a lot of the declarations are ones like I've talked to, like, I'm someone who honors my commitment to movement. That may work for somebody. That may work. It's a great statement. I found that when I started looking at how do I link it to purpose? What do I love? What do I want? And so that's when I started playing with my declarations. Instead of just saying generic ones as I'm someone who shows up, I add that even for 10 minutes. And let me tell you another trick. So when you're trying to move from habits to identity, when you're rooting and you're building this identity that sticks, and again, use these 3 bricks to speak to who you are, link it to purpose, and let identity drive action, not emotion. Honor the emotion for a moment. Be like, yeah, you're right. I don't feel like it. But I've got a trip coming up and need to get out of bed and fit into my bathing suit. Like, you get to play with that a little bit. But so let me introduce you to my 2-day rule. This rule has changed my life. It has given me freedom. It's given me the power to decide. It's also given me some grace when I needed grace. So my 2-day rule is simply this: is I don't miss something 2 days in a row. And so instead of being like, okay, I'm going to go to the gym 4 days a week, I don't miss the gym 2 days in a row. So how this works and how this is giving me freedom is like today when I'm recording this, I haven't been to the gym yet. It's just been a busy morning. I had appointments first thing, but I went to the gym yesterday, which is great. Went to the gym yesterday. And so it gives me the freedom of, okay, today I'm looking at my schedule and say, okay, I have some time in this afternoon. That I will go there, because then I looked at my calendar tomorrow and I do not miss 2 days in a row. Tomorrow is jam-packed. And so chances of me getting to the gym, because my first appointment is 7 a.m, working with someone who's overseas. So I don't want to wake up at 4:30. And which means that I have the power now to say, okay, no, I am going this afternoon because I know that tomorrow I'm going to have to miss. I got an evening appointment. Appointments all day. It's school starting. Things are happening. All of a sudden, everything is turned on and everyone wants to meet you about, we had tennis parent meetings. We had school parent meetings. We had appointments for doctor's appointments and sports physicals, all the things, right? When I embrace that 2-day rule, and it works not just with working out, even with my quiet time, even with when I gave myself this 2-day rule, my whole system of habits changed. I do keep a habit tracker. I love seeing the little X's, and it's crazy because rarely do you ever see 2 blank spaces in a row when it comes to my habits. Part of this is because I built it into my identity. This is not just habits I'm building. There's a reason behind them. They're not just things to do to fill up my day. It's part of who I'm becoming, who I am, and who I want to be. And so it gives you this freedom. So this 2-day rule, it has really changed my life. And a lot of my clients have talked about it's so much easier to maintain that rule than it is to say I'm going to do it like every day or 5 days in a week. You've got to give yourself some grace. And with this, you think, okay, then you just miss every other day. No. I'm like, I know I may miss tomorrow, so I've got to go today. Tomorrow, if I can fit it in, and because who knows what the next day brings. And so it gives me that freedom, but also I don't like to see blank spaces. But if there is a blank space, there's some grace in there and I can instantly go back because again, Rome wasn't built in a day, but it was built brick by brick. So missing one day is human. When you miss 2 or more, that's what builds a different story. That builds a new identity. That becomes a trend. And so missing one day won't break you, but 2 in a row will build a different story. And so you don't need more discipline. You need a clearer identity. This is when we act because this 2-day rule and then building these declarations to build your identity through these bricks will actually bring it to life for you. And so let's talk about a practical step. What can you do today to start building your leadership identity, your leader identity? Because when we're talking about this rule, when we're talking about going to the gym, how does it relate? Instead of asking, what should I do? Start to ask yourself, who am I becoming? So again, earlier I talked about hard conversations. I'm not someone who skips the hard conversation because I'm someone who embraces hard conversations as a way to build relationships. How many times did a hard conversation actually grow something beautiful from it? And knowing that as a leader, we are called to the hard conversations. We're called to build relationships and we're called to make those tough choices. So if it's part of who you're becoming where you don't avoid them, you learn through them, then it becomes part of who you are and your leadership identity. To say, I'm not someone who leaves people guessing where I stand. Switching this around to I'm someone who tells people where I stand on things so they don't have to guess. How many times have you had a boss who you really don't know what they want from you? And so you are constantly guessing. You don't really know who's going to walk in the room, whether it's going to be a happy boss or a unhappy boss or a sporadic boss. Like you don't know. And so if you want the consistency and you want other people to get to know you and not have to guess, but you can be consistent, I'm someone who tells people where I stand. Tell them what your expectations are. Don't make them guess. Be the leader who tells them. So this is where creating that declaration of I'm someone who tells people where I stand, get into that rhythm, and then they don't have to guess. I'm someone who brings calm to chaos. When we walk in the office, you don't know what you're walking into. You don't know if someone witnessed an accident or was part of an accident. You don't know if someone's 15-year-old threw a fit because her favorite shirt no longer fits properly. You don't know if their 2-year-old just decided that didn't want to wear shoes but can't get dropped off at daycare until they're wearing shoes. You don't know what chaos everyone's bringing into it. But if you are someone who calms yourself and who says, I'm someone who brings calm to chaos, and you embrace that identity and you let your identity drive the actions, not the emotion, then that's something that you can bring into your team and be known for that. And then another one is I'm someone who cares about people first because they're important. Let the identity precede behavior. Let the identity decide the behavior. So when you're caring about people first because they are important, then because they are building relationships is key. Your network is your net worth. You can't have an all-star team without the all-stars on it. So if you care about your people, then they will pour into their work. And being someone who does this, it allows them, if somebody makes a mistake, you can say, okay, let's look at this as a whole instead of just looking at this one incident. Because if you're someone who cares about people, and I'll tell you this quick story about this, is I was working with a team, and one of the things that she said, Tami, she's like, this team member, I'm gonna have to let her go. She's so good, but I can't, like, we have a meeting and she sits and she doesn't participate at all. And so I was like, okay, let's do a team training and let me meet her and let's talk. And at this point, I've been working with the leader on identity and understanding motivations. And one of the things is, so we went and we did leadership manuals for her whole team. And we went in and talked and everything about this. And then it came out that this woman, this team member, she's an internal processor, and she takes time before she speaks because she has great ideas. She's so smart. She brings so much to the table, except when we're in a meeting and she sits there and doesn't have any ideas and she just lets everyone else. And so come to find out, she needs time to process internally before she can process externally. So we made one little shift. Because this leader cared about her people so much, she cared to figure out, how do we fix this? How can we make this work? Because I don't want to lose her. And so what we did is then she realized that if she were to give her the agenda, give her the talking points of the meeting before the meeting, she had time to internally process, to get some ideas, to play all of the case scenarios in her mind and bring her best options to the meeting. What did that do? Now they had jumping off place. She had thought about it, so now she could participate. And it was just that one little flip because she was someone who cared about her people first. Because it allowed her to step out and say, okay, how do I lead this person? So that's just how the identity precedes the behavior. Instead of just counting her out, realizing, oh, she needs the information first. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes there's a last minute meeting, but that's the rare occasion. Most of the time, she's like, hey, here we go. We're going to meet in a couple hours, so be ready. And she comes to the meeting ready. Okay, so let's talk about some practical tips. Here's 3 steps to start building your leader identity. So 1, again, we want to start small. We want to take baby steps. We don't want to try to change everything at once. So I want you to choose one identity statement. Example, I am someone who, and remember the 3 bricks. Build it with brick 1 is speak to who you are, link it to your purpose, and then let identity drive the action, not the emotion. And so build it with the 3 bricks. Also, track your 2-day rule. Missing once is human, missing twice build the habit. So give yourself that grace. And I'm telling you, if you start doing the 2-day habit for a lot of things, like I would love to know. Start it and then message me, email me, send me a DM, because I'm telling you, like that habit changed things for me. And then the 3rd thing I want you to do here is anchor the behavior you want to the feeling you want. You do it because it aligns with who you are, not because it's on your to-do list. Remember your purpose. Remember and go deeper with your purpose and your identity and who are you becoming. Anchor the behavior to the feeling you want versus the feeling you're having. I don't want to do this too. No, I love after a good workout. I love the feeling after it. So that's the feeling that I want. And that's the feeling I focus on when I start. So if you do the 3 bricks and these 3 steps, I guarantee that your identity will start to shift. Your habits will start to shift, and you're going to start to feel and embody the identity that you're becoming and that you want and that you feel confident in. All of that is going to start to work together. So if you are interested in talking about this, you're ready to shift your habits from habits that don't stick to an identity that leads, book a leadership strategy call and let's get clear on the leader you're becoming 1 brick at a time. Let's get clear on what's possible for you. And it's time to stop dabbling in leadership. If you want to be the leader that you know you are on the inside, it starts with a foundation from inside, not external. those leadership books are great. I read them too. But why, if leadership books got you the results you wanted, wouldn't you already be there already? And again, this is from someone who reads books all the time and listens to books all the time, and realizing that it's not the leadership books that are changing things for me. It's the foundation. It's understanding how I'm wired, and then the leadership strategies that you learn in those books could come alive. So get a leadership strategy call, TamiMurrayCoaching.com/call, and let's chat. All right, friend, choose joy until joy chooses you, and I will talk to you soon. Bye for now.